when we finally make the decision, or someone makes a decision to make a big step like that in our lives, to enter into seminary, to enter into that life, and we think it's going to be one thing, and in reality, even after the initial honeymoon period, and I would say that seminary has a honeymoon period as well, there becomes a time when you realize that it's not necessarily just this thing of you becoming someone, it's actually service.
As I devoted myself more fully to serving, I really felt a strong calling to the priesthood, but it wasn't a note from the sky, it wasn't a thunderbolt, it was really a gradual unfolding for me. It started off, first I'm going to find out if I'm going to go to the seminary, and I'm at least going to find out if I have some inkling, some calling. I might feel it, but maybe the professors or the formators might not think that I have one. So at least I'm gonna engage in the process, and that was the first step.
You learned about bonding also, about the importance of bonding, because you had to pray, work, study, and play together. And so it taught you a lot also about being a part of a larger family. Nobody stood out. Everyone had a part to play. And that was a very good experience, I think, too.
And interesting enough, when I left Holy Trinity to do my 4 years of studies in St. Louis, Missouri, behind the altar were the words inscribed. There was Jesus in a boat in a net, and Jesus says, "Cast your net to the other side, I'll make you fishers of men." I had to see that every day. Kind of a little bit, I think, of God's perhaps sense of humor. So, and I can honestly say I loved every aspect of the seminary. You know, there were difficult days, but you have that anywhere, but by and large, it was a great experience.
There's one day that I can really remember where I was really wondering, you know, why did God lead me here? You know, why am I here? I was almost even yelling at God. It's like, why are you doing this to me? You know, why am I here? There was just something that just hit me. And I can say that it's a voice, and maybe it's not that proverbial voice that people hear that's out loud. There was no burning bush, there was no booming thunder, nothing like that. But just something that I heard that came from within, that I could actually hear, that pretty much said, you're going to be fine. You're going to be all right. Good people have always been around to support you. And there's going to continue to be good people around. I'm not going to let you down. And I've called you. And it was just hearing that voice, you know, that just really reassured me. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, this is really God, and this is the real thing that's taking place. You know, this calling and this life.
And I always had that assurance, but that I was called to be a priest. But I always also said, if I have made a mistake, the church doesn't call me, I'm not going to have any regrets, because just being in the system, being in the seminary, I made great friends. I grew in my knowledge and experience of Jesus and the church, that I would be a much better person emotionally and spiritually. So I told myself I would never have any regrets. But the real test is whether the church thought that I was worthy to be ordained.
There were actually times that I decided that I needed to leave the seminary. But each time I woke up the next morning, I always sensed that, you know, that wasn't really the right decision, that really wasn't God speaking, that was me speaking, you know, my desire to leave. And yet when I woke up that next morning, I thought, you know, that was kind of silly of you to think that way. You know, God is calling you. And so I just persevered and kept going.
Sin doesn't go away when you go to seminary. Temptation doesn't go away when you go to seminary. You don't become perfect by some sort of miracle after the first night you spend discerning in a seminary. No, it's a constant struggle. And it's a constant battle. It's a constant, dedication to wanting to become better.
Towards the end, there was much more involvement in parish life, so you'd have a sense of, no, you're not just going to be in a closed-in community, you're going to be in a very large community. And that helped. I worked in the missions for 2 summers doing manual labor. We would actually go in and live with the community, paint inside and outside, repairs in the church. But you also got close to the parish community, because they'd ask you to help with the music and things like this, with the altar service and all this. So it gave you a sense. You could not come out saying, well, I didn't know what was involved in this, because you had very many different kinds of experiences that helped you see, is this where I fit in?
I would like to say that my time in seminary was perfect, that, you know, I made straight A's the whole time, and I was on prayer. I was at prayer at 6:30 in the morning every day, right on time, and that I never missed a lunch, and every time that we sat down with my fellow seminarians, I was just cordial and happy all the time. But the fact of the matter is that it's not, because life's not that way. And being human's not that way. And if Christ can only communicate with us through our humanity, then our humanity eventually is going to come up to the top. It's what you do to transcend those times. And sometimes understanding what God wants from you in those times.